everybody. Welcome to BBQ Nation. I'm JT, along with Hall of Famer Ms. Leanne Whippen and Dave and Chris running around backstage here. We'd like to thank the folks at Painted Hills Natural Beef, beef the way nature intended. And if you just happen to be in Fossil, Oregon, I doubt that. But if you are in October, Leanne and I are going to be over there doing a little hoop-de-doo for the folks at Painted Hills, so stop on by. Today, we're very privileged to have the newly ordained president of AmazingRibs.com, Clint Cantwell. Yep. Clint has been called a backyard griller on steroids and the mad scientist of grilling. First of all, welcome. And secondly, how did you get the backyard griller on steroids handle?
Oh, gosh, that's probably something I made up.
Okay. Okay.
My background going way back is in PR and communications, so I would bet that I wrote my own bio and coronated myself with that title, but who knows? Maybe somebody said it.
Yeah.
Drunken rant one day at a barbecue contest.
That's all right. That's if we don't take care of ourselves, nobody else will, I think.
Oh, 1,000 times.
Yeah. So let's start at the top here, Clint. We'll get more into your barbecue prowess and that a little bit later, but I want to know how you got ordained the new president of Amazing Ribs. I know you've worked with Meathead for a long time and he's been on the show dozens of times, but tell us about that new position there.
Yeah, it's exciting to help start to form the next chapter in the AmazingRibs.com saga. I've been working with Meathead for quite a long time, going back to grilling.com, which was a Kingsford property. I was the editor of that site and helped launch it. And Meathead was actually one of the contributing authors for that site. And after Kingsford shut it down, he brought me on to the AmazingRibs.com team. And this was probably 6 years ago, maybe a little longer than that. And slowly by surely, he's given me more and more responsibility up until recently when he got pretty heavily involved in writing his second cookbook, which I'm sure you guys are very well familiar with the trials and tribulations of doing that. So it's really been a full-time slog for him trying to get that together. And so long story short, I've taken over more of that day-to-day responsibility so he can focus on the book, but also focus on himself and going on vacation, which he hasn't done in a decade or so. And, just enjoy the company of his wife and his life.
That's nice.
He's mentioned that, hasn't he, Leanne, that he would like to
yeah, but I never really thought he would do it, and I'm very proud of him for doing that. A lot of people talk about it, but they just don't do it.
It's hard to make time for yourself.
Definitely. Okay, so let's jump into the how did you get involved in barbecue standard question. But I know that you were born in Texas, you spent time in New York, now you live in the Memphis area. When you talk about Texas and Memphis, besides music, you think about barbecue and food. So what was your path like?
Well, I moved around a lot growing up. We lived in a new city almost every 2 years. And I was born in Dallas, actually lived in Kansas City for a couple of years, and am now in Memphis. So, my path has included a lot of barbecue and grilling. I remember my parents cooking brisket, staying up all night when I was younger, cooking for neighbors. And we were living in Wisconsin at the time, and one of the neighbors actually called the fire department because they thought the house was on fire. They had never experienced barbecue and low and slow cooking. So, that's a very early memory I have, but it's always kind of been a part of my life. And when I got married and we bought our first house, the first thing I did was run out and get a smoker and a grill for the barbecue.
Leanne did the same thing, I'm sure.
Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, she grew up barbecue.
Yeah.
Barbecue in her blood.
Well,
Yeah.
she grew up with a legend. So, and now
Yes,
she's
she
the
did.
legend. Yeah.
Yeah, I joke about in my backyard, my kids were upset that I had all smokers back there, no jungle gyms. It was all smokers. I did fit in a trampoline, but
Nice. Yeah, you kids can play on the grill. You don't need
right.
Yeah.
you don't need a slide.
I'm just interested of what you looked like on the trampoline.
That would not be. I don't think I got on it once.
You really?
No.
We got the kids one, and I don't think they went on it once.
It's one of those things. I want one, yeah, but no,
Yep.
they got into it.
I think that makes three of us because we bought our daughter one when she was little, and we were living on the ranch then, and we set up the trampoline, and I think she went out and did it like twice, and then she fell off and broke her arm. So
Oh my gosh.
then she wanted to sell it, so
Yeah.
that was okay. Anyway, when you were doing your amazing ribs duties, and you're kind of in charge of the day-to-day stuff, but prior to that you were doing a lot of writing and contributing like that.
Yeah.
How do you determine when you're sitting in a position like that what makes it out to the public and what stays kind of in the background or in the archives?
Yeah, it's kind of tough because I'm a little nuts. So I'll come up with these crazy ideas in the middle of the night. Like, why can't I make a hot dog bun entirely out of bacon? And, it's just these crazy ideas that I have. And so a lot of times I'll go and execute them, and it's something cool for social media and whatnot, but who really is ever going to go and create this thing that I thought up in the middle of the night? So I do have to self-edit a little bit because, a lot of work goes into writing a recipe, photographing a recipe, getting it on the site and making all the technical aspects of it work. So I really do try to focus my creativity as much as I can to create things that I really think are going to engage a broader audience, because we are the world's leading barbecue and grilling site. So there's a lot of eyeballs on me and on Meathead and the rest of the team, and we need to make sure we're delivering stuff that actually helps further their backyard skills.
How excuse me, when you have an idea like a hot dog bun made out of bacon,
which I actually did.
Yes,
that's so.
Yes. When you do that, how many times does it normally take you to kind of perfect it before you want to go to press with it, as they would say?
Not a lot. I mean, I really like to play things out in my head and figure out how to actually execute it before I go and put the time into creating it.
Yes.
There's instances where I think something's going to work great and it fails tremendously, and I just leave it on the cutting room floor. But usually when I create a recipe, it's a one and done type thing. If it doesn't work when I first try it, I'm not going to go and spend a bunch of money on another 50 pounds of bacon to try to make it work. I'll just cut my losses and move on.
And who eats the experimental parts? Do you and your family, or do you give them away?
Yeah, it used to be me and the kids. We're down to one left in the house out of the three, and the two that are at college, one of them is now a vegetarian. So it's getting harder to find people to eat my recipes.
That's got to be awkward around the Thanksgiving table.
Oh yeah, it's tough, but we do now. There's so many of the plant-based foods that don't taste horribly. We can actually introduce some vegetarian dishes into our holiday meals and regular meals and not feel like we're eating those hockey pucks of past,
Yes.
the fake hamburger that's made out of corn and all sorts of dry ingredients.
Yeah, I think it was the original Garden Burger came out of Portland here. And I remember when they made a big deal about it and they put them in the stores and all that. And then those guys bought an ad on the Super Bowl, which they paid $1 million for. This is a little company. Okay.
Yeah.
And it dang near put them under. In fact, I don't even know if they're still producing stuff. They may be. It's not a section of the frozen food aisle that I usually stop and spend much time at. But I remember that they spent $1 million, and that even made the news that this little, vegetarian company based in Portland, go figure, that that they would do that. So
but they weren't good. They were just dry and nasty. So I mean that whole segment has advanced so much in the last 5 years or so.
Yeah, they had them actually in a couple of the burger chains out here, and that lasted about 6 to 8 months because people would order one and they would never order another one.
For good reason.
Yeah, there was, you could only put so much secret sauce on those things, and you might as well take them out and fill potholes in the road with them like that.
Yeah, I found that if you top them with brisket and pulled pork, they're a heck of a lot better.
They are. It just makes the sandwich look bigger. So it's all good. We're talking with Clint Cantwell today. He is the newly appointed president of AmazingRibs.com, but he's got his own life prior to Amazing Ribs, and we're going to dig more into that in just a minute. So we're going to take a break here on BBQ Nation. Clint, Leanne, and I will be back in just a couple minutes after these messages. Please stay with us. Welcome back to BBQ Nation. If you'd like to email us, you can just go to our website, which is bbqnationjt.com, and send us a message there. And or you can find us on Facebook, and of course we're on Twitter, not only personally, but the shows are. Leanne just uses her handle, Leanne Whippen, and I use CowCook57, so you can find us there. We're talking with Clint Cantwell today, president of Amazing Ribs. When you started, you told us in the first segment, Clint, that when your memories of growing up and the cute story about somebody calling the fire department on your parents when you were living in Wisconsin. Did that have an influence on you? Not the Wisconsin thing, but just the cooking aspect of it and the barbecue aspect of it. And then did your dad do most of it? And what did you learn from that?
He wanted to be a fireman.
He wanted to be a fireman.
And that dream is still unfulfilled as of today. I'm running out of time to become a fireman. So But my mom was from Texas. My dad was from Wisconsin. So she was definitely the barbecuer in the family. He was the guy that brought the brats and the cheese to the party.
Got it.
The brisket was done. But it did get me excited about outdoor cooking at an early age. I think that my college experience, I went to college in New Orleans, and that's really what sparked me as far as my interest in cooking, just being exposed to that very unique, almost exotic or international cuisine that is Cajun and Creole cooking.
Mm-hmm.
So, I kind of became interested in cooking during college. And then when I was able to actually start grilling and smoking myself, I kind of transferred that culinary interest into the backyard and kind of pushing the envelope as far as what you can do outside.
You think that let's just use the term kind of Cajun or Creole cooking, did that really stay with you over the years, coming into recipes and cooking from kind of that dimension in your noggin? That's how you worked them?
Yeah, it really showed me that backyard cooking can be more than hamburgers and hot dogs and brisket and pulled pork, that there are all of these other cuisines from around the world, and that it is possible to introduce some of these techniques and flavors and ingredients into the backyard. And it started with that Creole Cajun influence, but then it kind of expanded from there. And I don't know if you can see it, but my shelves in my office are just packed with cookbooks, and they're not all barbecue and grilling. It's all sorts of different cuisine, and I won't cook from them. I'll just read them for inspiration, and take a Italian cookbook and look at the lasagna recipe and say, why can't I do that in the backyard? Why can't I make a pulled pork lasagna? Add some barbecue sauce to the tomato sauce, substitute the pulled pork for whatever meat is in this lasagna recipe, and kind of take it to a different level.
I see you got Praise the Lord back there too on your shelf. Yeah, it's right there. I happen to have that. You can't see mine because they're blocked out, but I have that. I'm sure Leanne probably has a litany of cookbooks and barbecue books.
Oh yeah, they add up very quickly.
They do. I'm a collector of signed cookbooks, though. So
yes.
I like to have them signed.
Well, we all do.
Yeah.
We all do. I'm waiting for you to write yours. And
Yeah.
I can write the foreword for you, and then I'll sign it and give it to you, and you sign one and give it to me. How's that? And we'll get Clint to sign one in between.
Okay,
Yeah.
that works.
I'm open to signing anyone's cookbooks. Just as long as it's not mine. I don't have the time or patience to write one myself.
Do you think barbecue overall is in a good spot? I mean, the obviously we've got 100 million Americans that grill, smoke, or barbecue, do something. And that's kind of the area of the numbers I've seen of late. Do you think, though, that with all the shows on television, the barbecue competitions, and just the regular food shows have really elevated the backyard game?
Oh yeah, no, 1,000%. And I'll give Leanne a lot of credit for this. I think those early days of barbecue pit masters, John Marcus, what he brought to the table with those shows, and with Leanne and Tuffy and Myron and all those guys on the early episodes, I think it sparked an interest and an excitement in so many Americans and people around the world to get out there and really do something different, challenge themselves on the smoker grill. We saw a huge spike in barbecue contests, but I also think that people at home were starting to experiment with cooking brisket the way that they saw it on Barbecue Pit Masters, or the early days of Food Network when you had Grilling and Chilling with Bobby Flay. That was another show that really kind of brought it to the forefront, brought it into living rooms of people's homes.
Leanne, do you still get people recognizing you from those early shows you were on? You've done a ton of them, so they would that, but when people come up,
I do. I mean, it's really kind of crazy to me. I mean, and the thing is, when people were following the show, they kind of knew where each of us were from. Like Tuffy and I were from Virginia at the time, but when I moved to Chicago, to be recognized in Chicago right before I even opened the restaurant, like, how does somebody think that I would even be here in Chicago? And, I'll watch TV and people, and they can walk in front of me 10 minutes later and I won't recognize them. So to me, it's kind of baffling. And it does happen to this day. I mean, I was in the grocery store the other day and, oh, can you sign my Bobby Flay cookbook? And it's just like,
really,
it's humbling, but it's, they keep re-airing the shows. So it isn't like they're dead. You know what I mean? So it isn't like our faces have gone away. They're still, after all these years, they're still airing them. So occasionally. It's not a lot, but occasionally.
And you still get your residual checks, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. You know, it's just every day.
And you're just trying to figure out how to spend it all.
Yeah.
I just, you know, when is it going to stop?
Yeah.
When you get that check in the mail and it's 75 cents, how
you learn the way of the world after you sign the contract. Okay.
Absolutely. We're going to take another break. We're going to be back with Clint Cantwell, president of Amazing Ribs and mad scientist of barbecue and grilling, along with Miss Leanne and myself right after this. Welcome back to BBQ Nation. Got a special guest today, Clint Cantwell, who is the new president of Amazing Ribs. Of course, we've had Meathead on the show. I don't know how many times, but usually before all the major holidays and stuff and he's passed the reins over to Clint. But before we get back to talk to Clint, I want to again thank the folks at Painted Hills Natural Beef. You can go online and you go to naturalbeef.com, which is actually their website, and they now have an online store there. So all you have to do is you can buy it, because it's not in every market around the country, but you can get a T-bone or a ribeye or a roast or whatever you want. It kind of varies from time to time. But when you go to checkout, there's a little thing down in the left-hand corner that says, do you have a code, a promotion code? And you can type in BBQ Nation and you get 15% off of that. And also, drum roll, please. Thank you. A pig powder. Miss Leanne's pig powder there, which was developed by her father, and she's carrying on the torch for that. It's been coveted as the best rub on the planet. It's used by pit masters for over 30 years now. I use it all the time. I used it last night on some chicken, and the night before I used it on some green beans. I was going to tell you that before we came on the show.
Very versatile.
Very versatile. So all you have to do is go to pigpowder.com. Leanne will make sure you get your pig powder. See, I didn't even bring up the signed autograph pictures today. You see that?
You just did.
Oh, I did I? Okay. Well, she will do that for you sometimes. But if you see her in person, it's much more likely you'll get her autograph. But anyway, excuse me, go to pigpowder.com. So let's get back and talk some more with Clint Cantwell, president of Amazing Ribs. What do you think has been your biggest achievement, Clint? Oh, all the years you've been doing this, and you've been doing it more than 2 weeks. So, and I say that is kind of leading into the next question, because Leanne and I had a great conversation a week or so ago with Ray Lampe, who's a friend of ours, and we'll get to that in a minute. But what do you think your biggest achievement has been in all the work you've done in barbecue and smoking and grilling?
Wow, that's a loaded question.
Of course it is.
And there's been so many moments over the last 2 decades or so, just familiarizing myself with the world of competition barbecue, growing this passion of mine, doing the online stuff. I will say that one of the coolest moments for me was at the Big Apple Barbecue Block Party up in New York. And I got a chance to do a cooking test against Myron Mixon. And it was one of those, secret ingredient type things. And this was back in the Barbecue Pitmaster Club days. And I was a little bit of a fanboy. I had never met him in person at that point, and I beat him. And it was like the greatest thing that had happened in my life, beating this guy that I had watched on television and everything. So, I mean, that was kind of the most fun that I've had doing this. But, just getting to go and meet all these wonderful people on the competition barbecue circuit and in the Pitmaster Club on AmazingRibs.com. And, I used to compete myself, and all these folks just become your family, and they're wishing you a happy birthday on Facebook on your birthday. And, you can reach out to them for cooking advice, or, if you need help at a barbecue contest or whatever. It's a wonderful family to be a part of. And I don't think that there's anything else, any hobby out there in the world that has that kind of love connected to it. I don't golf, but I can tell you that people aren't like family out on the golf course. It's, you play your round of golf and you're on to the next one. So I think I kind of took your question and ran there, but
That's okay. That's
it's
okay.
really something that
In your new position, are you going to make any changes, or are you just going to move forward and keep everything rolling the way it is?
no, I'm making tweaks every day, slowly but surely. I introduce some of my own ideas into the website. Meathead has done a wonderful job building this thing over however many years now. So I don't want to completely move in a different direction from that. But, I've got my own creative ideas, and, he and I have figured out a way to work well with each other. We try not to butt heads too often. It can become a little contentious when I've got an idea and he's got a different idea, and we're trying to find a common ground between those. But we've got a really good relationship, and he does let me push the envelope a bit when it comes to creative thinking and ways to make the website look, and the types of recipes we're going to feature and things like that. So,
well, that's a good thing. It's tough to hand over the reins.
it is. I mean, it's his baby, and it's it's not easy to take something that you built and you put so much love into, and hand over the reins to somebody else.
Yeah, I went through that with my parents and their business a long time ago. And my dad was like, "Here, take it." My mom was like, "No." So
Yeah.
that kind of went along those lines for quite a while. But it's
How about your dad, Leanne? Does he?
Well, he and I butt heads a lot. I mean, he's very stubborn. I'm very stubborn. But he was always very creative in his thinking. He was never in the restaurant world. And some of the biggest challenges that I had as far as our thought process, on creativity and whatever, he didn't understand the restaurant concept. And, that you can't take something that's going to devote a whole lot of time and recreate it in the restaurant. So grasping that was difficult. So we had some issues with that. But the other creativity, like for him to have, he suggested you should do, the hog of the week and feature, a different kind of hog on your menu each week, a mangalista or whatever it is, and he was really creative in that sense. And those things, worked. But he's the reason I'm here today, and
Sure.
we just shared it, our whole lives together. Really, I mean, it started way young in the backyard, and that pig powder's been around a long time. And yeah, it really truly has been my whole life.
Mm.
Did he come and visit you at your restaurants?
He did. Yeah, he did. Even up to the deviled pig, when he was not feeling that well, at the end, he came there and, saw the smokers and smiled, and, we took pictures and all that. He just, to the bitter end, he had me making, I remember it was off of Amazing Ribs. Actually, it was chartreuse ribs, Meathead's recipe. And he wanted me to make them, and he couldn't eat at this point, and he just wanted to look at them. So I followed the recipe, and I had never made it before, and I made it and I brought it into the bedroom, and he was just so happy just to see them,
Wow.
And so it was crazy.
Oh, that's actually a nice memory, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's
absolutely.
special when you can share those types of memories between a father and a daughter, or a father and a son. It's often hard to find things that you can connect with your children on.
Yes, that is true. I've got a daughter that's quite creative, and she will listen, but then she goes off and does her own thing. And sometimes I scratch my head and I go, why did I just go through 45 minutes of explaining that to her? But she gets it. I mean, believe me, she gets it, but she just doesn't. So what I was mentioning before, Clint, was we had Ray on the show a week or so ago.
Yeah.
And we were talking about social media. Okay. And you mentioned it at the top of the show. And we were talking about social media and all that. And Ray's comment about the three of us sounded like three grumpy old people on the show was, I think that was probably well earned. But we see a ton of stuff on social media from either different teams or individual pitmasters or backyard cooks or what have you. And Ray's point was he and Leanne and, Tuffy and some folks like that. And then you came along a little later and this type of thing, but they earned that kind of respect and reputation for really being a pitmaster, if you will.
Yeah.
But the stuff we see, some of these, we've had people on the show, and you'll have to ask Leanne about that after the show's over, because I won't put it on the air or what she thought of a couple of our guests. And I was right there with her. But, those people really created this, and yet they're still involved. But now we seem to go through the advent of social media of some of these folks are feeling like they're getting a little left behind, and maybe not getting the respect that are due, if you will. I don't want to make a big deal about this, but it's not too hard to go out and throw a rack of ribs on a grill, take a nice picture and say, here you go.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah. I mean, the whole game has changed in the last 5 years or maybe a little more, but these smartphones are taking better and better pictures every day. So like my skills with a camera, I'm pretty good with a camera, but now the phones do all the work for you. So folks are taking these photos that used to take me, an hour, 2 hours to set up and make them look nice for recipes. They're doing it in their backyards, and they're able to go on social media and play it off like they're the greatest barbecue and grilling cook in the world without putting in the hours and the miles that folks like Leanne, that Ray, that all these legends out there have done. And it can be a little humbling to see folks just step into the limelight that easily. But it is what it is. Social media is a whole new animal now, and we may not get the kudos that we used to yesterday because all the noise out there.
Right. Right.
It's just going to get worse with AI, and it's just gonna, I mean,
you're going to see,
I'm not even going to get off on that one, because it's just going to get worse.
And now it's not even about the cooking. It's how much garbage can you stack on top of a burger,
right,
dripping out of the bun, or the other thing that annoys the heck out of me is where they slice the brisket and then squeeze all the juices out.
That seems.
Now you're seeing people cook a beautiful chicken and squeezing all the juices out. I mean, that's what barbecue and grilling has come to in the social media realm.
Exactly. We're going to take another break. We're going to be back and wrap up the show with Clint Cantwell, and then Clint's going to stay around for after hours. So Leanne and I and Clint will be back momentarily. Stay with us. That is true. And this part will be edited out, but
we're like old grumpy men on our front porch.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah.
Get out of my smoker. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to BBQ Nation. You can find us on any of the platforms for podcasting. We're normally in the top 100 or 150 food shows because there's thousands of them. So I'm very proud of that. And you can stream us if you find one of our radio stations and but you're not within the signal or something, you can stream it also. So they usually have that RSS feed right there on the homepage. Anyway, we're talking with Clint Cantwell today, the new president of Amazing Ribs. What's your favorite thing to cook, Clint? Absolute bar none favorite.
Wow, it's hard to say. Like I said earlier, I usually create a recipe, cook it once, and then I'm never going back to the same thing. So I mean, I rarely have a dish that I do twice. Steaks I just love because, once you figure out the perfect steak recipe for you and your wife, it's just something that's comforting to be able to pull that out of my arsenal every couple of months and just get a big thick ribeye, 2 inches thick or more, and do a really nice rub on it, reverse sear it, and finish it with like a marrow butter or some sort of compound butter. And there's really nothing more delicious to me than that steak. And my wife won't order steak at a restaurant because we just have it down to a science, or I do, as far as what we like taste wise when it comes to steak. So that's really my go-to. But I love perfectly seared scallops. I love everything. I love food.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm with your wife. I don't order steaks at restaurants anymore. I'm a seafood guy or a pasta guy, or like you miss the lobster.
Oh yeah, I had a picture
that you had the picture of lobster. Yeah, the pasta with the lobster, but we've got pecan pie instead today.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
But I'll eat that stuff like there's no tomorrow. Pecan pie. I actually make a couple of them at the holidays, one for me and then one for the guests. So,
nice.
But yeah, it works out because I can stagger it over, several days that way.
Yeah.
What's really good? I know this is going to sound gross, but is to stick your pecan pie pre-sliced in the freezer. And believe it or not, you can bite into it frozen and it's delicious.
Really?
It doesn't get hard. Yeah, it's like almost like candy. It's really good.
I was going to say, do you put a little popsicle stick in it?
Exactly.
No, it's chewy like candy. It doesn't get hard. It's, I guess, because of, the corn syrup in it or whatever, the butter and all that stuff. Yeah, it's good.
I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that.
Trust me, it's good.
Did you find that out by actually not cutting one, pre-cutting it, and then try to cut it when it was kind of frozen, or?
Yes, exactly.
and your knife bent or something?
Yeah, I mean, you could cut it into pieces and throw it in a Ziploc bag, and it's a good snack.
Wow. That's one of those
you learn
happy little surprise.
Yeah.
I put that in your Pitmasters Club. I'm not being sarcastic, but put that on the Pitmasters Club and see what kind of feedback.
And even take the pieces and throw it on some vanilla ice cream. I can go on and on.
Wow.
It's funny how you find out things by accident. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. That's how some of the world's greatest inventions happen by accident.
Yeah. Are you still doing Grillocracy?
No, that's
let that go.
Yeah, that was a transitional site between grilling.com and amazingribs.com. It was just someplace that I could kind of feed my creative juices when I wasn't actually working for somebody.
Are you going to be doing the Jack this year?
I should be. I've actually judged with Leanne. Well, we judged together 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I haven't the last 2 years, but I've judged there 10 times so far. So I'd like to make it back this year and judge again. It's pretty neat just to see the creativity that comes out, especially in the dessert category. It's hard because you're like six dishes in by the time dessert rolls around, but you always find a way to power through and try all of those wonderful desserts that they cook up.
Well, I'll tell you what, if somebody's been listening to this show and they show up with a semi-frozen pecan pie on a slab of vanilla ice cream,
Ice cream.
I know what the ratings are going to be from my co-host here.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's a good thing. When you're cooking at home, and this kind of will be close to the last question here, Clint, but when you're cooking at home and maybe you're using one of your tried and true recipes that you've done for the family, and then you're cooking and you look at it and all of a sudden the light bulb goes off and you say, why couldn't I put asparagus on that or something? Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Does that happen a lot with you?
Yeah, 100%. I'm very good at identifying things in the pantry or in the refrigerator and figuring out a way to incorporate those into whatever I'm cooking. It's once you learn the basic skills of cooking and different cuisines and things like that, it does allow you to think a little bit more on the fly.
Yeah, and you can cover up mistakes too. I have found.
Yep.
When you go out and you look at something, you go, "Oh, that's not going to work," and then you go run back in the house and say, "What can I put on it or do to it to make it better?" So
sauce will cover up a myriad of mistakes, whether it's barbecue sauce or some sort of fancy French sauce. Just pour it over the top, and all else is forgiven.
When I was in college and I was living in a dormitory my first year, there was a guy there, different measure and stuff, but it didn't matter. We'd all been out partying pretty much the night before, and I was down there in the shower and I was hurting. And he looked at me and he goes, "Jeffrey, shower can mask a lot of evils." And so over the years, I've taken that a step further. Just what you said, a sauce can cover up, a mask a lot of evils. So
it really can.
Yes,
and butter will do it too.
Butter will do that. What would you say as a piece of advice? We've got about a minute left here, Clint. A piece of advice to people that listen to this show. Maybe they're just getting started in grilling and smoking and barbecuing and that. But if you could give a piece of advice to the world, what would it be?
I would say never be afraid to fail. Just get out there and trust your gut. Take a recipe that you enjoy, try to personalize it, take it in a new direction, but don't be afraid to fail in the process. It's not always going to be a success, but you'll learn from it and you'll become a better cook from it if you do push yourself personally. And, you may have to throw out some dishes, but you may also find some that you absolutely love and can't wait for the next chance to have some friends and family over and share with them what you have created and made your own in the backyard.
There you go. Clint Cantwell, the new president of AmazingRibs.com, author, contributor, pitmaster, the list goes on and on. Thank you. And we're going to have some fun here in After Hours. And
thank you both.
Yeah, it's our pleasure.
Congratulations.
Yes,
awesome.
Congratulations. Do you get a little plaque on the door that says president?
No, I'm still waiting for Meathead to show up at my front door with some sort of official coronation with like the sword and all of that.
Yeah. I'll speak to him about that for you. Okay.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll do that. Anyway, we're going to be back next week with another edition of BBQ Nation, Miss Leanne and I, and we want to thank Clint for being here today. And as we normally say, our motto here, turn it, don't burn it. And you take care, everybody. Cool. All right, let's do After Hours. Hey, everybody, welcome to After Hours here on BBQ Nation. We'd like to thank the folks again at Painted Hills Natural Beef. Beef you can be proud to serve your family and friends, and beef the way nature intended. And also pig powder. You get that at pigpowder.com. And Miss Leanne, that's her deal, and it works. It's very good. The other night, a neighbor of mine gave me a big bag of fresh green beans, and I thought I'm going to try pig powder on those. So I, trimmed them up and cut them and cleaned them up and put them in a pan, put a little water in it, and put some bacon in it, and onion and all that, and then I put pig powder in it, and they were delicious. They were absolutely delicious. That's an unsolicited pitch for your product there, kiddo.
Thank you. I love to hear what people put it on and how it does work for them, because I can't think of everything. Somebody was just saying sweet potatoes, like killer on sweet potatoes, and it's delicious. It's usually I like
Pecan
salt
pie.
and pepper. Yeah, pecan
Pecan
pie.
pie.
There you go.
Semi-frozen pecan pie with ice cream and pig
Dip
powder
it in
on
some
it.
pig powder.
There you go. Okay, Clint, here we go. This is some lightning round stuff, as we say. If you could cook for and then dine with a historical figure, they can be alive or not. We'll go dig them up if you want to. Who would it be, and what would the menu be?
Oh my gosh. I am absolutely stumped on that one.
Oh, come on.
It gets a lot of people.
It does.
Yeah, I really have no idea. I'll just have to say Abraham Lincoln and cook up a menu all around apples.
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
Like that.
There you go.
Yeah.
If you could work with one of your barbecue heroes, and you've worked with a number of them, I know quite a number of them over the years, but if you could work with just one, who would it be?
If I went back and worked with somebody that I have in the past, I'd love to work again with Jack McDavid. He just cracks me the heck up.
He is a funny soul.
He really is. And I helped him out at Memphis in May, going way back 15 years or so ago. And it was just a real pleasure spending time with him and learning from him. He, I cooked with him, helped him out washing dishes and stuff at Memphis in May. And when I decided to become a competition cook, he invited me to cook at a contest in Pennsylvania that was run by the Amish. And he said, make sure that they set you up next to me. And I swear the entire weekend he was up there next to me offering advice. And some of it was unsolicited and kind of a pain in my butt. He was doing a lot of hovering, but I learned tremendously from him and really owe him a lot as far as advancing my skills.
There you go. If you started your career all over again, what would you do? If you wanted to do something different, what would you do?
I would probably skip the 20 plus years that I spent as a PR executive in New York City and just get to what I'm doing now. And that's cooking and, doing what I'm passionate about, creating good food to eat and sharing it with the world.
You know what I find interesting, and Leanne, I'd like you to jump on this too. This is not a question particularly for Clint, it's for everybody. I find it interesting now that people can actually make a living doing barbecue stuff, because there's such a lot of different avenues to take. There's the competitive, there's the books, there's restaurants, of course, but there's just so much going on that I find it very interesting that people are carving out a niche in there and making a living doing that.
I feel that is a little bit of an exaggeration. I think that a lot of people appear to be making a living, but they aren't. And there's a handful, like, Myra and Tuffy, that, actually can make a living from it. But I think a lot of other people are doing other things to supplement that, because I just do. Because competitive barbecue, you have to spend a lot of money, and you know, you aren't guaranteed to win. And yeah, the top guys that are up there, I don't think they're making a living by competing. Most of them have their own sauces, their rubs, a restaurant. There's always something else, you know.
Yeah.
So it's something that you have to embrace the whole thing of barbecue and use it to make a living. Because I know I struggle, even with my background and restaurants and what have you. It's tough to make a living at barbecue, in my opinion.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's true. I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors out there where people appear to be making a ton of money off of just doing barbecue and grilling. But to your point, they're probably fixing leaky faucets on the side, or, you know, they've got a real day job that's actually paying the bills. But
Oh, that's a
the
horrible
world has
thought.
also changed. It's not it used to be where you only made money off of a restaurant or a cookbook, but now with social media and the internet and everything, there are different avenues to make money. There's folks out there like Malcolm Reed that are doing fairly well, I think. You know,
Absolutely.
with
He's
online
one of the
content.
top people that's making it. But if you can, you know, it's like maybe 10
Yeah.
people are
Yeah,
up
there's not
there, you
that
know what I
many.
mean?
Well, and it also this sounds kind of the absolute opposite of what I said a couple minutes ago, but when anything, whether it's barbecue or any other type of cooking or food or golf or some sports or literature or whatever, when the market gets so saturated, like your example with Malcolm is excellent, because Malcolm has been doing it for a while. If you look at his viewer count, it's always very high, and he gets paid for those numbers through YouTube or what have you. And a lot of people think, oh, I can do that. Yeah,
and
no,
a lot of the social media people that you think are making money are not. They are getting products, free product is what they're getting.
Yeah.
They aren't getting a contract, you know, where they're getting, you know, a monthly check by any means.
Right.
No, they're getting a
They-
freezer full of free hot dogs.
Right. And maybe
hot
from
dogs.
their sales, they might
Okay.
get, you know, a cut off of that, you know, based on, you know, what they sold with their coupon code or whatever. But you got to do a lot of that to
Oh,
make
yeah.
a living.
No, I won't name who the person is, but there's a barbecue personality that I helped get hers or his first cookbook deal, and I still get residual checks from it, but it's 14 cents.
Yep.
Once a year.
Yeah.
So you've got this cookbook that's a bestseller that everyone sees in their local bookstore, but that actual author is making pennies on the dollar for a book that's selling.
And the cookbooks back in the day when Ray was, you know, rampant with his, that's when there was some money to be made in the cookbook world.
But now
today it's not, and now it's not that way.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. I'm not an expert. It's just what I hear.
Yeah.
Unless you've hit it big, you know, and you're selling.
Well, Meathead's book is a prime example. Yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
an example of a successful cookbook author. Yes.
Yeah.
And
But those
look
are
at how
few-
hard and how many hours, and he's earned it.
Yeah. He has.
There's a lot of them out there, just cookie cutters. It's the same recipe done the same way, just with a different author's face on the front.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've had those folks on the show, and you know, I just let them talk. I don't challenge them on that, but then because the results are in the sales.
Yeah.
You know,
Here in Memphis, we would say bless their hearts.
Yeah. Or isn't that sweet? From Texas. Isn't that sweet? Okay. Yeah. Clint, what does a fantasy day look like for you? What kind of activities does it contain?
Oh man, I'd like to just float in the pool all day long. It's hard being me. You know, it's I always thought that being able to stay home and play with smoke and fire all day would be nice and relaxing, but it's you know, paying the bills is never easy regardless of what you do. And I feel like I have a hard time shutting off. So, you know, having my office at home makes it even harder for me not to be
Mhm.
responding to emails or, creating some new content or whatever. So if I can just get myself to shut off and get in that lounge chair in the pool and float, that would be a
Mm.
dream day for me.
You don't get in trouble like I do sometimes from Leanne when I'm sending her an email at 3 a.m. and she goes, "Have you been to bed yet?" Nope.
Yeah. No, I do have to be careful about sending late night emails because I will get a slap on the wrist for not turning it off.
Yeah, yeah. If you could erase one mistake from your past, what would it be and why would you erase it? That is, if you want to tell it in public.
Yeah, there's probably about 1,000 of them from going to college in New Orleans that I would like to erase, but it,
Thank goodness there were no iPhones at the time, right?
oh my gosh, you are spot on, Leanne. I am grateful every day that the only photos from my college years were the party pics. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Yeah,
You'd have a party and they'd bring these negatives or whatever, these proofs to
right.
you, and you'd have to select the ones that you wanted, pay them the $4 or whatever, and then a month
Yeah.
later you get the photo.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, being at school in New Orleans, there would be some video and some photos that I would be paying people to scrub off the internet.
Yeah. 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 I'm with you. If you were, this is a good one because this is we get varied answers on this one. If you were declared supreme ruler of barbecue for a week, what would you, Clint Cantwell, decree as supreme ruler? What would your declaration be about barbecue?
I would say stop squeezing your meat.
Yeah, that's a good one. I love it. I
Wow,
love
that would be a good t-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
would.
Stop
it
squeezing your
would.
meat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can whip that out for amazing ribs and probably sell 100,000 of them.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. It would be the new I love butt or whatever that t-shirt is.
Right.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
the airport.
If we put your skills to music, what would the music be, Clint?
Probably polka, something fun and lively that people can dance to.
Are you a not poker, polka king?
I am not, but that's right after I figure out how to become a fireman. Maybe I could.
Okay.
I'm all about reinventing myself.
Well, I happen to have an accordion, so you let me know when you want to do that, and I'll go back and practice a little bit. Okay. Well,
Quick funny story. I've got a friend that her parents and my parents have been friends forever before we were born, and we were both born around the same time. So we've been best friends ever since we were little. But she grew up in Wisconsin, and there's a photo of her in lederhosen from when she was about 6 years old. And I got a copy of it. And every once in a while, I just bust it out. And it pisses her off to the nth degree that I got
I'm sure.
lederhosen photo of a chunky little girl wearing these tights and whatever it is.
At least you don't
Well,
have.
anyway, I digress.
I grew up on a ranch. We had well, you folks would call it a river. We called it the creek.
Yep.
And there's a picture of me. I was maybe 6 or 8. And I just came out of the creek and I'm changing my swimming suit up on the bank with my butt sticking out, pulling up my underwear. And they took that damn photo. And I still see it once in a while in the family. And it's like, that's child abuse. Anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
If you were an animal, what animal would you be?
Ooh. I don't know. Maybe a giraffe.
Why?
I don't know. I'm pretty tall, I guess. I don't know. I've got a giraffe up on my
That's
shelves
legal.
here, so that
Giraffes are
popped into
cool.
yeah. No, this is Giraffe, named after John Morant from the Memphis Grizzlies.
Oh, there you go. There
Ah.
you go. There you go. What's the biggest change you think should be made, if any, in competitive barbecue?
I would love to see an expansion of the judges' palettes, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. You know, it seems like cooks are just copycats of each other these days. And I don't know if it's the television shows to blame, the internet. You know, there used to be one or two classes, competition barbecue classes, and now there's a zillion of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it seems like once somebody wins with a recipe, then suddenly everyone else is winning with the recipe. And you can't flex your creative muscles with sauce or rubs or anything. So it's not really a cooking competition at that point, is it? It's just who
Right.
can be the best copycat.
So I've got a question for you both. I've judged a few competitions, mostly as some local celebrity or something, but you both judge, you KCBS judges, whatever. When they hold these classes, when they hold a quote unquote judging school, do they ever not pass somebody?
Do they ever fail somebody in the
Yes.
judgment?
Yeah. Basically, do they ever fail them? They say, you're not qualified. You could be out there eating dirt, and you wouldn't know the difference.
I would doubt that they ever fail anyone. I mean, it's a paycheck every year when they got to renew their membership.
Right.
Have you ever seen anyone failed?
I never have,
Yeah.
no. And I don't know how in the world you could fail.
Well, I mean, I came out of the competitive sports world, and we had to go to continuing education every year, depending on which license you were trying to renew. And they did fail you. I mean, there were literally tests and seminars and so on and so forth, and they were very hard. It was kind of like being an NFL referee or something like that. You had to know the rules. You had to know the plays. You had to know this and that. And if you took the tests and you didn't score, I don't remember what it was, because they were quite hard at 78 or above, you did not pass. And they would not suspend your license, but they would kind of put it in a hiatus mode until you could retake the test and get a passing grade.
I vaguely recall having to do a test when I took the class to become a Memphis and May judge. I think there was a scored test, but I don't know if you could actually, I don't know that they'd hold back your judging certificate if you failed it.
I just thought of that though. Because most other major competitions, outside of a barbecue in the food world, you can fail. You cannot make it as an official. So
I mean, maybe it needs to be done. There's some bad judges out there.
Yeah, okay. Boxers or briefs?
Right now I'm wearing briefs. That's a very racy question for you, Jeff.
Yeah, well,
my wife.
Sometimes we've had them say neither or none, like that. So we always get interesting answers on that. Where's the hardest place you've ever had to cook? Like if you were at a competition or something?
I mean, I haven't competed in quite a while, but I used to compete up in the Northeast when I lived in New York. And I swear, every time there was a contest in the Long Island, New Jersey area, there would always be a monsoon, and you're there trying to hold down your pop-up tent while trying to keep the rain out of the intakes from your smoker. And, one night the canopy collapsed, the water is pouring in on me. The power goes out. So I've got a flashlight in my mouth trying to trim the brisket. And, I almost got in the car and went home, but I got it done somehow. And I actually won the contest, which is crazy, but
that's because everybody left.
Yeah, exactly. It was just me. I got first, second, and third place that day.
There
It
you
was
go.
pretty impressive.
Out of sheer tenacity, Clint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, every single time we had a contest, it was some sort of monsoon that would roll through.
What's one thing you miss about your 20s?
I guess just the carefree nature of all of it. You know, the world's problems didn't seem to be as big as they do today. Now in my 50s, you know, just a lot less responsibility. I did have a job, but I was able to go out and enjoy myself at night. I didn't have kids yet. I wasn't married yet, and it was a fun time in my life. But I mean, I'm not hating on what I have today. I'm very blessed to have what I have today, and I wouldn't change the past or the path that I took to
Sure.
get there, even though there were hiccups along the way.
Sweatshirts or formal wear?
Sweatshirts, 100%. This is my
Mhm.
uniform for work every single day. I roll out of bed and I've got about 1,000 t-shirts and 1,001 baseball hats, and
That's my
this
kind
is
of
my
guy.
outfit. And the weird thing is, my brother is completely bald. My dad was completely bald. I've got this full head of hair, but I hide it under a hat
Yeah.
all day, so it pisses them off.
Well, there you go. Dire Straits, AC/DC, or Billy Ray Cyrus?
Wow, do I have to pick one of the three?
Well, you can throw somebody else in there if you want.
Oh, it would be U2 all day, every day.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen every one of their tours, and I'm actually flying to my most hated city in the entire United States, Las Vegas, in October to see them. But
There Clint, would you describe yourself, excuse me, as corn-fed or grass-fed?
corn-fed, because I'm fat.
I'm with you, brother, all the way. Okay, just a couple more here. Is there anything you would want to do in particular when and if you ever retire?
Yeah, I'd like to travel more. It's something that I really enjoy, seeing different parts of the world. We took the kids to Barcelona last year, and every restaurant we ate at, and I got to know the chef, every single one of them said, if you opened a American style barbecue place here, you do killer business. So a dream would be to actually pack up and move to Barcelona, cook up a couple of pork butts and briskets every day, you know, offer them up until they sell out, and then just wander the city the rest of the day, drinking wonderful coffee and eating great food.
Clint, if you do that, do not squeeze the brisket.
No, I 100% will not.
It's kind of like Mr. Whipple. Don't squeeze the Charmin, but don't squeeze the brisket there.
Yep.
Okay, last one. What would your last meal be on death row?
I hate to go back to a former question or former answer, but I'd go with a thick as heck ribeye, reverse seared, and finished with some marrow butter.
And have some of Leon. Or you're Leon
Leon's
now.
frozen pecan pie.
Leon's frozen pecan pie. Jeez.
That's it to send me out on a high note.
There you go. There you go. The guards will be like, don't eat all that, because they're going to want it when you're done. Clint Cantwell, newly elected, appointed, well, Meathead did it. So, president of AmazingRibs.com. You've been very gracious with your time and your answers. I love them. So
I appreciate your time. It's been an honor.
Thank you for being on the show. Leanne and I are going to get out of here. We've got some major announcements coming up in the next few weeks that we're going to share with people. Until then, I'll just keep you in suspense. For Clint and Leanne and myself, we thank you for listening. And remember our motto, turn it, don't burn it. Take care, everybody.